When I remember you asked me that question, and I said that I didn't want to lose my daughter. Now that we've been able to make it through the storm, I'm not scared of anything. Because that was probably my worst fear in life, and understanding that we had the courage and the strength to overcome that. Whatever life throws at us, we're just going to accept that challenge.
Man, it's an honor to be here today to speak, especially to Northern Kentucky University, because I know what that community, Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, did for me and my family during that time. So it's just an honor to be here today to really talk about this. And it's crazy when I watch the video, I'm often blown away that that is my life, that is my family's story, because that's not how my life was supposed to be. You know, when I was growing up and I envisioned myself playing in the NFL, I never envisioned that for my life. I never envisioned my daughter being diagnosed with cancer and our family story being shared all over the world. And a lot of times it frustrated me that my life wasn't turning out the way that I thought it would be. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about how do you push forward when your life is not how you thought it would be? Because I know a lot of people, especially with this pandemic, are going through a lot of things in their life, a lot of stresses. There are a lot of obstacles being thrown in front of you right now. There are people out here who are losing their life. You thought you had more time with a family member or a friend, and they were taken away from you last year or this year. And it's hard. It's stressful. Some people have lost their jobs. Some of you may had jobs that were helping you pay for school, that were helping you take care of your family, and you no longer have that job anymore. And it's a struggle. Some people you may know that you were going to school with who are no longer enrolled in school because they can't afford to go to school right now. And it's a struggle. Not being able to get that college experience because most classes are done online, so you can't be around other people. You can't network the way that you hope to do as you went to college. It's a struggle. It's hard. Being at home and having to juggle different hats, to manage a household while also trying to manage school, while trying to manage work and raise children. And if you have a significant other, be there for your spouse. It's hard. And you may not have seen your life turn out this way. But what I hope people see from our story is that life may not go the way you planned for yourself. Like you may have dreamed of going to school earlier than you did now, and you're enrolling with what people may consider being late. You may have seen yourself having this great college experience, but you're spending most of your time at home in front of a computer getting your education. You may have dreamed of having that white picket fence, and things are just not going the way that you saw it go. You may not have all the success or reached all your goals by the age in which you planned for yourself. And it's hard. But what I hope people see from our story is, although your life may not be going the way that you want it to go, it doesn't mean that it's not going in your favor. And I learned this from an early age. Like a lot of people got to know me and my family when my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. They got to see the first hand of us going through a dark time, for us going through a struggle. But it wasn't the first struggle I had been through in my life. You see, I had faced a lot of struggles leading up to that point. Of course, they weren't on that magnitude, but a struggle is a struggle. And I remember I grew up in a city called Wilmington, Delaware. It was stricken with a lot of drugs and violence. And sometimes it was hard to dream outside of my reality, right? You hear all the time that you're a product of your environment. But one day I realized that you're not a product of your environment, but you're a product of your expectations. And your expectations is a product of your exposure, what you expose yourself to. So I started exposing I started exposing myself to things that could help me grow, things that could help me see outside of my environment. And I ended up getting 50 different scholarships to the top D1 schools to play football, full scholarships. And I remember After getting these 50 scholarships, it was hard to choose one because they were the best of the best. But I remember Coach Johnson. He's the defensive line coach at Penn State, now assistant head coach at Ohio State. He came to visit my house one day, and when he sat at my mom's dining room table, he laid out this plan for my college career. And on it, he had 4 years of me being at Penn State. The first year, he had me as a freshman All-American, not being a starter, but being a rotating player. My sophomore year, he had me as a starter, an All-American, All-Conference. Then my junior year, he had me as a consensus All-American, which means that you're voted by all bodies who get to choose an All-American to be a first teamer. And then my last year, he had me getting drafted in the first round of the NFL. And when I sat in my mom's dining room and I watched him go over this plan for me, I was excited. No other coach had walked into my living room and showed me an outline for my life. Like I said, this is what I started to envision for myself. But as I got to Penn State, my journey didn't turn out as we planned. That wasn't supposed to be my life. My freshman year, I was having a breakout training camp. I had a chance to really enter the rotation to play as a true freshman. But during one of our practices, I was running down the sideline to make a tackle on the running back, and an offensive lineman grabbed my shoulder, and I blew my knee out. I tore my ACL and my MCL. And I remember just sitting on the ground crying because this wasn't how my freshman year was supposed to go. I mean, I just sat in my mom's dining room talking to my coach, and on his plan, nowhere did it say I was going to tear my ACL and be done for the year. But I overcame that. And I made it back the next year to live out my dream of playing in front of 110,000 screaming fans inside Beaver Stadium. But during one of our practices in training camp, one of my players, our teammates, were thrown into my leg and it snapped in half. For the second year in a row, I was done for the season. I sat in my dorm room crying day in and day out, like this is not how my life is supposed to go. When I sat in my mom's dining room table as my coach outlined my future at Penn State, he didn't say, Devon, you're going to tear your ACL and MCL your first year. Your second year, you're going to break your leg and be done for the whole season. You see, sometimes we envision things for our life. We only envision the good things. Rarely do we envision the obstacles that we may face in our life. And because I didn't envision those obstacles that may derail me from my goals, I hit rock bottom. I was broke down. There were so many times I sat in my dorm room crying, wanting to give up on my dreams of making it to the NFL. I wanted to give up on my dreams of becoming that All-American and getting drafted.